Hello and welcome back to the Society Knits YouTube channel. My name is Sally and I am the maker and owner behind Society Knits, an Australian yarn and fibre online business based in Wagga Wagga, New South Wales. Thank you for coming back, or if you're a new viewer, thank you for joining my little parcel of the internet. I'm coming to you from the lands of the Wiradjuri people here in Wagga Wagga, New South Wales. Very grateful to be here on this exquisite spring day. Hopefully the lighting won't be too much of a trouble because it's really overcast here and kind of keeps fading in and out a little bit, so can't help that. I may also be joined by a special guest. My cat Pearl has decided to come and share the space with me, and she's pretty well behaved, so she might even make an appearance, but we'll see. I am back to regular kind of formatting for my YouTube channel today. Thank you for those who tuned in to see how I was using my hand spun yarn. That was just a nice little exploration into figuring out how I can use it as both a intended kind of garment size, but also as a feature piece. I enjoyed it. The views weren't great, but I don't care. So today I have got a little bit more knitting mojo back, so I've got two finished objects to show you. I have a whip that I am just flying through, and I've got some plans and acquisitions. So if that sounds like it could be something you're interested in, please subscribe. Please give it a little like or leave me a comment about anything that you find in the video. I'm a real data person, and I've constantly been tossing between reflecting on why I'm doing this, which my main priority, particularly for those who are new here, is to showcase either an Australian yarn, an Australian designer, whether that's knit or crochet design, sometimes both in the projects that I'm working on, just to really try and show you what Australian creators can do. So I'm constantly reflecting on that kind of purpose of this channel, and then the data that you get access to, and as someone who's very goal orientated, either having minimal views on videos or losing subscribers can really play with your mind. So I've had to just let it go, refocus on why I'm doing this. Is because I love sharing with you guys. I love finding new Australian yarns and designers when you've shared them with me, and I just like to kind of share what I'm working on because I love seeing what other people are working on. So yeah, it's been a bit of a journey on kind of refocusing on goals, but that's been really good for me, and that's why I think my knitting mojo is back, because I'm just trying to let go of the data and enjoy the knitting, because that's the whole reason why we're here, isn't it? So without further ado, and hopefully a lot less rambling, let me show you my first finished object. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, which is Society Knits, you will have already seen I have shared my first finished object over there. And to say that I'm proud as punch is a gross understatement. So this is my step-by-step cardigan. Pattern is by Handmade by Florence, and it's a pay what you wish pattern. So there's a set price, but then there are also discount codes if you are not able to afford that or choose not to. So it is a great, very basic, simple design, simple construction, simple technique cardigan pattern. I use my hand spun yarn. I'm not going to go into great details because I have a whole episode that you can watch on my channel if you want to see more about that. My fibre I used was Australian Corriedale, hand dyed by Handmade by Catkin in the Pluto and Poseidon colorways, and I ordered 600 grams of the fibre, I think in a 4 and a 200 gram lot because you didn't have quite enough of each. Or either to make a sweater's quantity, so I blended them a little bit, and so this is the final result. So I feel like it's giving, you know, very Noro vibes, which was kind of what I was going for, because that's what the original pattern has been created in, and I liked how it celebrated the kind of variegation. I used a 5mm needle, which is just a smidge smaller than what she recommends, but I'm super happy with the gauge that was created and the fit. It is a sort of oversized, slightly boxy length as well, and I used pretty well all of the 600 grams. I think I've got 20 grams left, and I use that to sew in my steekings. So modifications I made to this pattern: the arms are a bit longer because I've got quite long arms. I did just a bind off in pattern for the sleeves because I wanted a little bit more structure without kind of the bulkiness of a Italian or a tubular bind off. I got a bit sick of purling because that's normal, and so I steeked the part after the final increases, and so then so did a simple steek, machine reinforced it, and then picked up the band. She does a double knit band. I just did a simple what did I do, 1x1 rib band. Added a couple of buttons, and now I have a finished object. So one of the things, so I loved that I steeked it. It meant I just flew through the final part of the body. I also am so proud. I am so excited that I finally figured out how to improve the little holes under the arms when you pick up. It was just like, this is so simple. How could I have not figured this out before? So let me show you because it's so beautiful. So standard raglan construction, you put the stitches for the sleeves on hold while you work on the body, and then when you come to pick up the sleeves, you pick up stitches. So I think there was 6 under there or something, and you pick up and knit those and then keep working on the live stitches that had been on hold. What she suggests to do is in the first round is to pick up an extra one and then decrease it out, and that has just worked so nicely for this. So this is under the arm, and so I picked up an extra one on the picking up round, and then I immediately decreased it the next round, so you still got the same total count, and it just, no hole, no sneaky little pickup hole there. Like, how good is that? So I am proud as punch, as I said, for so many reasons, but figuring out a new little technique, being brave to steek, using my own hand spun yarn to actually make something that's wearable that I really love. Wow, so super excited. Thanks for joining me on that very convoluted experience, but I'm really glad where it turned out. So that is my step-by-step cardigan by Handmade by Florence, and it will get somewhere soon enough because we're in that weather now where it's cool mornings, but just starting to warm up a little bit during the day, but then the evenings and afternoons are still quite cool, so that will be perfect for this time of year. I forgot to mention what I'm wearing. So this little beauty is something I knitted earlier this year, and it's a free pattern called the Berta sweater. I can't remember who it's by, but you can find the details on my Ravelry. I am SJ Knots on Ravelry, or if you forget that, just have a look below in the description. So the Berta sweater, not the most amazing pattern ever written. Had to make a fair few modifications. I think I wrote them in my Ravelry page. But the main purpose of this sweater was going to be to showcase a exclusive colorway that Three Trees Fibercrafts created for me after discussing inspiration for a high tea collection. So Rhonda and I did some back and forth about discussing 4 colours that we could add to the range and add to my online store, which have been a really big hit. And I wanted to be able to showcase at the Australian Yarn Show how they actually looked. The other thing that I've always found really tricky is when working with a variegated yarn, I find people get really overwhelmed with the concept of how busy it is and the potential for pooling, and they get really put off and either just will get a bit overwhelmed and won't use it, or kind of get a bit stuck or upset with how it looks. So I really wanted to showcase how this looked, and my goal was crazy and chaos. Calm and chaos. No, we don't need 2 crazies. So calm and chaos, and just to put them together to show you how you could use it without being overwhelmed. So if we have a look at this jumper, so these colors are all the same as the top, so I'll just run you through here. So this lovely pink and brown with sort of like a vanilla-y caramel base is scones with jam and cream, of course. And I've paired it with a lovely sort of sandy color. And so I've got that on the bottom as well. And then the greens, this is a Three Trees green that I can't remember, but have a look on my store, it could still be there. But otherwise, this is cucumber sandwiches, of course. So it's a lovely light green, dark green, with some little tiny pops of yellow, just really subtle. This one was a big hit, and one girl had the brilliant idea of making an all-over colorworks, sweater with a really simple design. And this one, which is Wedgwood China, and I thought that would be exquisite because you'd have this sort of white base and then this little speckles of blues and yellows. So that one was really popular for lots of reasons, and I've sort of paired it with a nice blue to just bring out the blues of the speckles. And then the final colorway here is hyacinths and daffodils, which at this time of year with spring and all the bulbs emerging is just so beautiful to kind of reflect on and enjoy. It's a much busier kind of colorway compared to the others, but you've got pinks and purples and sort of broken up a little bit with whites and yellows and things. But yes, it was a fine knit. I had to do some modifications, as I mentioned. It's knitted flat. I think I did I think I used 4mm needles so this is on the DK base, the 8-ply base. I think I used about 4mm needles. It's knitted flat and in tarja. That was fun. And so then I had to do the seaming, which is fine. It provides some nice structure to both the sleeves and the side seam there. And then I picked up and knitted the bands. So I've got a contrast band on the wrists and on the around the neck, and then I did a nice little blue one because I was just using up all the bits and pieces on the bottom band there. For someone who doesn't like purling, this was a little bit torture, but I really got to work on my mattress stitch, which was just so satisfying when that invisible join just comes together and you can't even see. Just glorious. I worked on some intarsia, and I've worked out some new tricks. And when I was talking to everyone about how much, not difficulty, it's not difficult for me, but just the stopping and the starting and the, you know, twisting and managing all the different colors, and how I kind of always prefer knitting, knit stitches if I can. I got to talk to some different people at the Australian Yarn Show about how to manage that and things, so that was really good. And just to be able to showcase some of the yarns that I host, like, what a dream. I get to walk around and people say, love your jumper, and then of course I tell them far too many facts about it, but at the same time I'm also really proud about it, because this was something I got to work with an amazing Australian yarn designer, you know, designer and dyer. I got to work with her to create something really beautiful. So another proud as punch moment. Look at me go. So if you want more details about that, have a look at my Ravelry page. Let's get back to regular scheduling. So I did mention I've got 2 finished objects. So we've gone through the lovely step-by-step cardigan. My next one, and again, you might have seen this on the blocking mats if you follow me on Instagram. This is the Fruit Tingle shawl. Look at this. Look at this pretty gal. Look at the curly drape. Isn't she pretty? Oh, what a great little palette cleanser. I mean, not that that one really wore me out, but this was just a divine, simple knit with pops of concentration is how I describe it. So for those who haven't been here before, this is the Fruit Tingles shawl by Ambah O'Brien, who is an Australian knitwear designer. And the yarn I used is 4-ply or fingering weight SRS merino, dyed by Natural Fibre Arts. The blue colorway is Ming, yellow is sunflower, and isn't it just a beautifully saturated sunflower yellow, and the pink, which I just love, this pink, is Amaranth pink. I have spoken in a previous podcast about how this concept of buying all the same color in a sweater quantity is very new to me, and I'm a little bit of a bowerbird and will just collect pretty things, and so this was a classic example of, oh, I can see that they've got these, I like this color, I like this color, I have no plans, because buying yarn and using yarn are 2 different things. I very much just had this collection of this lovely yarn and had no idea what I was going to do with it until I got to this. So the knit itself probably took me a couple of weeks of very intentional knitting, because I was trying to get it done in time to put it in the show. I didn't make any modifications. This is absolutely as patterned. The only thing I did was I used a 3.75mm needle, just because I'm a looser knitter and she uses a 4, but I did the same amount of garter, so that's all garter stitch, those big bits. I did the same amount of garter blocks in it. She has on the project page a heap of different ways that people have interpreted this pattern, which is why I really love it. It would be a great one for scraps, like if you've got a main color and like little pops of scraps. So an advent calendar would be good for this, because you could just do the little fruit tingle bits as a cute little mini. So some people have done the big garter blocks as all the same color, and then they've done either the little fruit tingles in the same, you know, in a contrast color, which is all the same, or all different, and it looks really effective. I just wanted to have fun and change colors. Well, I actually rotated just through the 3 colors, so you can see that it's blue, yellow, pink, but because the pattern, so I've got an odd number of colors but an even number of designs, it actually plays around with having different features at each level, and which I think looks really good. I used so I used about 75 grams of the yellow. So as you can see, it was one of the bigger stripes at the end. And I would say, I think it was about 60 grams of each of the other colors. So the blue and the pink. So if you had three fun skeins that kind of go together or at least complemented each other, you could do a similar thing that I've done. You could use scraps. You could probably even use a DK if you wanted to. You could use a DK and two fingering held together to kind of make a bigger shawl. It's a really versatile pattern that I really enjoyed because it was so mindless with the garter stitch. I definitely had to concentrate with the fruit tingles, and they are a bit fiddly, but by the time you've done them, you're back to just glorious garter again. And so you kind of don't mind. Let me put it on for you so you can kind of see how it's a little bit Stephen West-ish, isn't it? With its bold colours and little fun bits. But so that's if I was kind of wearing it a bit bandana-y. Which I don't usually do. I'm more of a put it over the back kind of a gal and wrap it around the front. Yeah, like that. A bit more snuggly, but then you can't see the designs as nicely. The yarn base, exquisitely soft. The colours were quite saturated. Like you could see that the dye had really been taken up in some of the spots. So when I was blocking it, I was very careful. I did a minimal, very not cold, but well, on the spectrum of temperature, a cold block, and very gently rinsed it and things, because the SRS merino is exquisitely soft and prone to peeling. It's a non-superwash, so I wanted to avoid felting if at all possible, and I was just a little nervous that we could have some dye run just with how saturated the colours were. But overall, completely success with those little modifications to my usual routine. Wonderful, perfect, so good, and so happy with the final result. Oh, look at it. I'm so pleased it's off the needles because I can now enjoy it, and I couldn't fully appreciate either how big it was getting or just how it was going to kind of turn up, because I was using it on circular needles and they get a bit squished in the end. So the Fruit Tingles Shawl by Ambah O'Brien, check that one out. That was a double Aussie combo there. So the finished objects are done. What has she been working on, you say? Okay, well, I really wanted to do some knitting for kids. So I scoured the internet because I just really wanted a nice textured jumper for my eldest son. And he has since told me, since I started it, that he doesn't like wearing wool jumpers. Who have I raised? What do you mean? Anyway, I think he'll probably eventually wear a woolen jumper if it has a dinosaur on it. So that'll just have to be my future me project. But for today, what I have started is the Storm Sweater Child by Petite Knit. I know Petite Knit is everywhere, but in terms of creating a lovely textured garment that doesn't have cables, because I just am not in the brain space for cables, I just want to zoom. This has been glorious. Oh, look at me, all my stitches have come off. One moment, please. And we're back on. So this is my progress after 2 days. Like, it is so addictive. I want to make myself one. I've made the Ingrid sweater for myself a long time ago, which I'm going to re-knit because it's a bit of a stretched out disaster now. It was one of those early day knits. But like, look, I have shoulders. I have a back panel with that delicious texture. Like, look at that. Isn't it pretty? So good. But yeah, that was 2 days of knitting. So what yarn am I using? Now, I mentioned this is a child's knit. I actually don't tend to use wool often for kids because, particularly if I'm gifting it to people, the care involved in that, I've put a lot of love into creating it, but I also know that there is a lot of logistics that go in with the care and washing of a woolen item, and more often than not, accidentally it'll go into the normal wash. So I find acrylic is a perfectly acceptable thing to make children's wear out of. I also didn't want to keep showing on my channel, you know, essentially luxury hand-dyed yarn, because 1, not everyone can afford that. 2, not everyone has access to that. And 3, sometimes it's actually not practical for the items that you're creating. So I went to my local Spotlight, which is, you know, a big box kind of yarn store here in Australia, and I scoured their various aisles to try and find some Australian wool at the very least, even if it's not Australian owned. So what I came up with was standard old 4 Seasons pure wool and twine. They're saying it's 100% Australian wool. That's good enough for me. They had a bulk pack of 10 of these. This is an 8-ply or DK weight, 100 grams. They had a 10 pack of these for $40. So this is a $4 ball of wool. And I am coming up to the end of the first ball, so the first 100 grams, and I've already done that much. Like, that's going to be amazing. I know I'm dreaming putting a boy in cream, but don't care. Don't care today. Just living my very best in practical life. So I just thought it was a good opportunity though to kind of highlight that I don't want this channel to be completely inaccessible yarn wise or fibre wise for people. I think it's important to always think about the practicality if you're gifting something or you know, what people do have access to. But that's why I decided to try this. It's nothing special, does the job. I think it's giving great stitch definition for this particular project. The colour will be a disaster because he is just a crazy ball of mud and food and play. So anyway, we shall see how this turns out, but at the moment he's saying he doesn't even like woolen jumpers, so this should be fine. I'm knitting the size 5 to 6. He's almost 6, but he's reasonably petite, so this will be absolutely fine. I am using 4mm needles, which is exactly what the pattern recommends, and I am really enjoying this knit. This has been really lovely. Yeah, so that's the current whip. Now let me get to some plans because you didn't see these coming. Are you ready? I don't know where my brain's been going. Dun, 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 dun. Do you remember these books? Probably 10 to 15 years ago, tea cozies were all the rage. Like, look at this. I have been quite madly trying to knit heaps of stuff for the local show, which is in mid-September here in Wagga. And I was going through the categories, just kind of seeing what you can enter, I guess is the way of thinking about it. And tea cozies. Tea cozies were on that, and I was like, yes, I haven't knitted a tea cozy in forever. I tea cozies were my gateway drug back into knitting when I was in my early 20s. So I did your standard, you know, scarves, squares, whatever in school, dabbled in the feather scarf, and then I had a break because I was being a really cool university student. And then I saw Loani Pryor, who's an Australian, old school Australian designer, brought out a couple of like absolutely crazy tea cozy books. I have knitted a rooster, a couple of sheep. I've done like a flower basket. I went a bit crazy, definitely maxed out the people I could give all of these to. And so when I was sort of, you know, going through the list of things you can make again, and thought I could make a tea cozy, I had to dig out of the archives my Loani Pryor. So the plans are, I am going to attempt to make the Hawaiian beauty. Look at her, isn't she sweet with her little pillbox hat and the flowers? I again just have some basic, I think it's even acrylic. That's not going to be a fun textural sensory experience, but anyway, so I've got a nice color changing yarn that I'm going to use on here, and if I use up all the yarn knitting the actual tea cozy part, I've got heaps of scraps that I can use for the flowers, and I think it'll actually be really cute. This book is just full of amazingly bizarre things, but it's a great exploration in, you know, look at this one. You can have a fruitopia, a fruit basket on your tea cozy. I don't know how practical that is. You want to be really good at sewing, but anyway. But you can explore little bits of colour work. You can explore circular knitting. You can explore what is an increase and a decrease, and what about how do you stuff things like, oh, you've got an ornamental piece of fruit. You can learn a lot of techniques. So whilst they are utterly wild and often completely impractical, learning wise, you will learn a lot. You really will. So I'm really excited to do that next. I'm also turning into a bit of a monogamous knitter with all these deadlines. I don't know who I am. Like, I'm literally only working on one thing at a time, and I don't know who this person is. Anyway, don't worry. I'll be back to my multi-whip self soon enough. So that's my other planned for whip. Who knows what might be awaiting you next episode, so make sure you subscribe. Unlike me, I actually have a couple of acquisitions, and these have been driven by two reasons. The first is I really want to be a sock knitter. I saw on Katie Parrott Makes, who's a great little podcaster. She's a really enjoyable person to watch, actually. She was just talking about all of the things she enjoys making, how her goal one day maybe is to dabble in socks, and I was like, yeah, me too. I really want to dabble, but I'm also really glad that there are other people out there who are just not really that into socks. It's not that I don't like making them, it's that I'm such a loose knitter that to get the correct tension, I have to massively downsize the needles. And so then I feel like I am like doing microsurgery on tiny socks and my fingers get cramped, and it's not an enjoyable experience. I want to just be able to go around in a tube with my circular knitting like I would do with a beanie or the body of a jumper. And it isn't that for me. And then someone said to me, oh, your socks are very loose, aren't they? I was like, oh, okay. So lost all my confidence with my socks, but I'm trying. I really want to dabble. And then I saw that Halfbaked Handdyed, who have the most amazing self-striping socks. Side note, I have so much appreciation for anyone who does hand-dyed self-striping socks, because the work that goes into those, just have a look on anyone's Instagram or YouTube about how much work goes into creating those stripes. They should be worth more. Anyway, I digress. Halfbaked Handdyed, great self-striping sock. Did a recent release with a colour combination that was essentially picked by people who stopped by her stall at the Bendigo Woollen Sheep Show. And they were beautiful, they're really beautiful, but because they were so beautiful, they also then sold out within minutes on her stall. So I missed out. But I did some digging and I found that the Yarn Inn, which is actually a store in Tasmania, was stocking some of her, what I assume are much older colorways, in DK self-striping sock, and I thought this could be it. I could explore Afterthought heels with a nice chunky sock yarn that's DK weight, and I could do it completely vanilla and love the stripes. That would give me visual interest. Let's try that, Sally. That's what you're going to do. So I did, and they arrived. So again, I did share these on my Instagram, and yes, I paid for all of these myself because I have about 5 viewers, and who is going to sponsor me? So Halfbaked Handdyed. This color is Teddy, and so I thought that depending on how it knits up, I could even have this as a great Christmas gift for the many men in my life. But I also really love the dark blue and that kind of icy blue with the white, and then the sort of a charcoal color. So I will have a little play around to see how those big stripes kind of turn out. But I think that'll be really great. And the other great thing is it's already wound into a ball for me. So like, in terms of removing obstructions for starting things, I could cast this on tomorrow, but I'm not going to because it's not on the to-do list currently. It is a just standard sock yarn with a 75-25% merino nylon, fantastic yardage at 225 meters, and it is an 18, I guess, stripe repeat with a 44 stitch sock, whatever that means. I shall discover, I shall play, but the Yarn Inn have great half-baked hand-dyed. So that's the big stripe version. And then I also saw their smaller stripe version. Look how pretty this is. These are my favorite colors. I'm not really a green person, but the like maroony color. Let's put it over my face so you can see it better. And the pinks, the purples, the blues, just like amazing. Not rolled into a ball, don't care. That's fine. I'll have to start on the other ones first. That's all that means. So this is the color K. And again, a 75-25% combo of merino nylon, DK weight sock, so nice and chunky. And again, great length at 225 meters. So this gets a 6 stripe repeat with a 60 stitch sock. I'll keep you informed, but isn't it great? I'm so happy. I know it was a very specific request for my brain to want DK self-striping sock yarn, but I found it, and I'm really, really looking forward to exploring some new techniques with these. And the added benefit of it really won't take very long because they're nice and chunky. So that is a couple of cute little acquisitions from the Yarn Inn featuring Halfbaked Handdyed. The final thing I want to share with you is, again, in my quest for kind of just exploring all options of yarn budgets and different fibre combinations from Australian yarn producers, is I got some Bendigo woolen mills, organic cotton merino blend. So this color is soft pink, and the yarn base is it's called the Cupid 4-ply. It's quite a fairy floss pink. It's probably a little bit more, it looks quite peachy on the screen, but I would say it's a little bit more pink than it is. It is a, what grammed ball? I don't know. 50 gram ball, 165 meters, so that's pretty good. That seems like a light fingering, doesn't it? Anyway, I have been thinking about spring and summer plans, kind of going forward. I love knitting sweaters and big knits all year round. That really doesn't bother me, but I would like to have some more lighter pieces, and I've just been a bit nervous about pure cotton and the stretch factor, and you know, lots of people say that it's a bit hard on your hands, so I wanted to explore some more kind of wool cotton bases. So that's where I saw in the clearance section on the Bendigo Woollen Mills website about this cotton merino blend, and I thought maybe you'd get a little bit more softness with the merino, and just help decrease that kind of stiffness with the cotton as well as you kind of work with it. So I would love you to put in the comments what you think I should make with this. I've got 4 or 5 balls, so about 200 grams. I really want to explore some summer tops. If you know of an Australian designer who does either just nice simple Australian, like nice simple tank tops, t-shirts, what have you, put it down below. I want to find some more Australian designers. Otherwise I've got some great patterns that I've picked up recently from some international ones, but as always I'd love to be able to explore some Australian stuff. Well, look at me. This is my longest episode yet. Hope you liked it. But yes, my brain is back. Got my groove back. Getting myself out of my own mental tangle. It's been good. It's been really good. I really want to keep finding new Australian things. So I've got 2 requests from you. One, other than the liking, subscribing, all of that thing that I really do appreciate every time I get an alert that there's a new person liking or commenting or subscribing. It makes my day. I want you to share what I should use this yarn for, particularly if it's an Australian designer. And can you share with me a new either Australian pattern designer you've discovered, and I don't mind if it's knitting or crochet, or if you found a new fibre product from an Australian designer, well, creator. So if you've found new Australian fluff, have you found some new hand-dyed yarn? Have you found some like great bog standard, easily available, you know, run-of-the-mill Australian, at least Australian wool? I really want to know. I want to explore. I want to be able to share with other people. So until next time, happy knitting. I hope you have a lovely spring day or just enjoyable crafting day wherever you are in the world. And I thank you for joining me here today because it has definitely brought me lots of joy. Until next time, bye.